What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, a couple quick things. Do check out my website, btcsessions.ca. This is where you can reach out to me directly and book your own BTC session. We can chat Bitcoin, wallets, proper security, whatever you need. All you need to do is scroll down to the very bottom, and there's a contact form for you there. Secondly, big shout out to the sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin as collateral to get a Canadian dollar loan. So super easy. You head over to the website. There's a slider there so you can check out how much Bitcoin is required for a particular dollar amount. There's no credit check or anything. There's a short application that you fill out. It takes about 2 minutes. And if you're successful, your bank account is typically funded within 24 hours. So as I said, Canadian dollar or US dollar loans in select international markets. They've also got a deal on right now where if you use the link I've provided below and you end up getting a loan, well, they'll fund your account with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin. So if you're looking to get your hands on dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin to do so because you're worried about potential rises in price, well, this could be an option for you. And with that, let's dive into the news. So obviously we're going to chat a little bit about what happened with the price all through yesterday. I made my video kind of earlier in the day before we saw the last of the kind of blow off for the end of the day, and it was a wild ride, that's for sure. We ended up hitting highs of around $8,300 US, and that translated to over $11,000 Canadian. So wow, what a crazy, crazy day. So you can see now we're sitting in and around the 7,800 range. So it's been kind of pulling back, obviously. I mean, you go up a couple grand over a weekend, of course there's going to be pullbacks like this. Now, how deep could that pullback go? Well, this article here says we could see a pullback as low as 7,400, but if we end up going up past the high that we hit of 83.35, then the next level of resistance is looking to be around 8,500. So yeah, there is some resistance there. It looks more or less like we're kind of in the realm of visiting that 7,400 right now. The direction that we're going, yeah, we're dipping below 7,800 right now. But I guess time will tell. Bitcoin has been crazy lately, so I guess we'll see. The other thing to note is there was a pump, although it seems to be pulling back a bit. There's a pump of XRP because it was made available to Coinbase users in New York, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. It's funny, though, because XRP is something that has not been enjoying the gains that other coins have had in the past month or so. So it kind of missed out on the last month worth of rallies, and it's still... it went up to 40 cents or so, but it still is kind of sitting in that 30 something cent range, and it seems like it's been there forever. So yeah, other than that, nothing super notable. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that has had a little post Bitcoin pump, altcoin pump, but again, I'm not super interested in really anything that's going on down here. There's nothing that's really blowing my mind. Yeah, anyways, let's move on here. Now, of course, with price rises, you're gonna have the people coming out that are pushing back, saying that Bitcoin is crap. And one such person is Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary. He said that Bitcoin is a useless currency. So I recommend you watch this. It's about a 7-minute clip on CNBC, and it actually was not just Kevin O'Leary there, but Anthony Pompliano. So he's the host of the Bitcoin podcast Off the Chain. And he does what I think is a pretty good job representing Bitcoin and making the case for it as a global reserve asset, for it as a global currency, and for it as a bullish asset to own in the long term. And so he talks a lot about different aspects. Now, the interesting thing here is I think he was very much trying to cater to the hosts and audience of CNBC in that he focused in on the Dennis O'Leary had a moment where he said that the regulators hate it, and then Anthony kind of jumped on that and said, actually, law enforcement quite likes Bitcoin because it's a public ledger and it's traceable after, once you've done a transaction, it's on that public ledger forever. And he said, compared to US dollars and cash, that's just more or less impossible. And so he did kind of cater to the to the establishment and to the regulators in saying that, but he seemed to gloss over the fact that privacy is becoming easier over time with things like the Samurai Wallet Whirlpool, with Wasabi coin mixing. There's a lot of things, and not to mention base layer stuff that can improve privacy, like Schnorr signatures and other implementations that have now actually been created into BIPs, or Bitcoin Improvement Proposals, that are now on the table for the coming years. Well, that narrative doesn't stand up. But for the time being, I understand what he's doing. He is kind of catering to the establishment now, so that it can more or less get Trojan horsed in, and it'll be too late by the time people know what hit them. Now, also on the side of Bitcoin critics here, of course, you got Peter Schiff out in full force again. This was fun. It was a debate between him and Barry Silbert at the Salt stage in Seattle. Where was this? In New York? No, in New York. So they were chatting about, now Barry Silbert just dropped, when we talked about this on the show here, but Barry Silbert dropped with Grayscale Investment their commercial called Drop Gold. And it's pretty funny. It's a bunch of people lugging around bars of gold, and it's basically says, like, jump into the next century. You need to be with the future, and the future is Bitcoin, which is digital gold. And they're talking about digital currencies and trying to get people on board with having at least some exposure in their portfolios. And they actually show the commercial before they come on for the debate, which Peter takes a jab at the fact that, Barry gets his commercial and Peter didn't. But yeah, like, Peter he goes on to say things like, a bunch of young and inexperienced kids are going to be dumb enough to buy Bitcoin. Maybe they will, but as they get older, they're going to learn better. He also says, I doubt they have so they pointed out in the audience that about half of the audience owned Bitcoin. When they asked how many owned gold, there was like a couple dozen, and it was a sizable audience too. He said, I doubt they have any substantial amount of it. Maybe they bought it like they would go to the casino and buy some chips. Now, a poll conducted on Twitter. Now, a Twitter poll doesn't really yield the best results, but a poll conducted on Twitter after the debate confirmed that 91% of millennials would buy Bitcoin over gold. So I think the thing to look at here is there are people that are starting to wake up and appreciate the ideas of sound money, and that the dollars in your pocket are guaranteed to go down in value over time. There's no question about that. You know that your dollars become worthless over time. It's just, where are people looking to hedge against that? Well, I mean, stock markets have been insane lately, but we've seen some major pullbacks recently. Actually, yesterday, while Bitcoin was exploding, the Dow was dropping like 600 points or something. So, it's where are people going to be putting their money so that it's not worthless over time, so that their savings actually have value and purchasing power? Well, it seems to be leaning in the direction that people are going to go towards Bitcoin. I think it makes sense. I think that Bitcoin has the best chance of replacing something like gold in the long term. Now, do I think gold is totally going away anytime soon? No, I think it'll be as it says in the article here, a generational shift. People like Peter, people like my parents' age, people my own age are still going to have that value placed on gold because it's been around for so long. But younger people that are in high school now, that are in grade school, that are just being born now, they're growing up in a world where more or less Bitcoin has always existed, and they don't see it as a gamble. They just see it as another possible asset. And as time goes on, as we get into Bitcoin's second and third and fourth decades, it just becomes a given. Once it's been around for somebody's whole lifetime and they've seen it appreciate in value for their whole lifetime, other than, drops in cyclical markets, well, it becomes to look attractive, and it doesn't look like a gamble at all. So again, I think it will be generational. My daughter will never know any different. She'll just always say, well, Bitcoin's always been around. I mean, it's always been around in our house. But yeah, anyways, I do think that the coming generation is going to lean towards digital. Now, let's get into some other interesting announcements that have been coming out this week. Again, it is Blockchain Week in New York, so there's going to be a lot of crap coming out, but there's going to be some interesting stuff too. And so this is to do with Rootstock. Rootstock is a layer on top of Bitcoin, or rather it's a sidechain on Bitcoin that allows smart contract-like assets and tokens. So think Ethereum, but for Bitcoin. And so what they've launched here is a layer 3 network called Lumino. And essentially it allows for scaling of this Ethereum type network, which is a sidechain of Bitcoin. Now, I think it's great to have the ability to do stuff like this. I think it's great to have it with a base layer of Bitcoin where you're not compromising on that very difficult to change protocol with some hard promises baked into it. You're not having to compromise on that. You're just building atop it. And I think we're going to see continued pushes towards this. So while this isn't an insane amount of scaling that they've introduced, essentially they've gone from like 50, I think it was around 50 transactions per second when it first launched to about 5,000 now. So, it has gone up, but they're going to be introducing more stuff to scale. They themselves acknowledge this isn't going to make it available for worldwide scaling, but it is a step in that direction. And considering that Rootstock launched as a sidechain literally just a year ago, that's not bad. It is moving at a quicker pace, obviously, than the base layer. Now that we're allowed and able to do secondary layers like this, it's permissionless innovation. So you just start to see things, grow at breakneck speed. So I guess we'll see how this goes out. One other cool thing that I noticed today, this HTC, now there's been some competition in the realm of blockchain and cryptocurrency based phones. So you have the Finny as one of them. There's another one. Samsung obviously unveiled that they've got basically blockchain enabled phones where you've got a separated chipset that deals specifically for segregating out like wallet, private keys and everything. While HTC's smartphone is capable, as you can see, of running a full Bitcoin node on a phone. And this, I love this. I'm very, very happy to see this, and I think we'll see more of it in the future. But the reason why Bitcoin takes such a conservative approach to scaling its blockchain on the base layer is so that it becomes so easy to run your own Bitcoin node, you can throw them into phones. And then all of a sudden, when you've got everybody in the world that has their own Bitcoin node on their phone, and somebody tries to do something like SegWit2x and do a hostile takeover of the protocol, and you've got everybody around the world with their own Bitcoin nodes, and they're not going to upgrade to your fork of Bitcoin, it becomes incredibly difficult to try and do anything like that, because essentially you would end up just splitting to an altcoin, and only the people that upgraded to your version of the protocol would be using your currency. So I'm very, very happy to see this. It helps with decentralization. It helps with people verifying that they are using the currency they want to be using, and they're not using some scammy, offshoot of it. So kudos to HTC for doing this. And I look forward to seeing more of this in other phones in the future. And one other thing here, I talked about this a little while ago. Where in the world is Satoshi? GotSatoshi.com, and there's this countdown on their website that was leading to, I don't know, it was supposed to be some reveal of Satoshi. Oh my god, weak sauce. It's so lame. It ends up being this like AI news anchor. Meet Satoshi, the world's first AI news anchor, and it's this launch of like personal AI, Pi News or something like that. Anyways, they had to disable comments on their YouTube video because they were just getting roasted. Everybody thought it was so lame. And when I downvoted it, because I definitely did, yeah, it's only got about 3,700 views, but the ratio of downvotes, like you've got 517 dislikes, it looks like, and I've got this little tool on the side here, it looks like only 5.1% of people who watched this and clicked to rate it liked it. So, yeah, I kind of knew this was going to be a bit of a train wreck because it looked pretty lame as it was coming. I mean, you look at the website and you're like, oh, what's this gonna be? Yeah, it did not turn out well. Anyways, we'll leave it there. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining me. Of course, if you want to help out the show, hit up my website, hit up the sponsor Ledn.io, show them some love. It always helps the show, even if you just click the link and check out the website. It's good for them to get eyeballs there. And I really enjoy them. So do that. Also, if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe, hit that like button, smash that bell notification icon, because first time this airs, I'm always in the side chat chatting people up. So be sure to join in for that next time. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop a Bitcoin Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. You don't know how? Well, I made a tutorial video for you, and I'll be sure to link that as well. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow for your daily session.